What would you say would be the best advice for new property managers coming through today?
Learn and read as much as you can. Keep up to date with the industry because it is dynamic, it is changing, and that's always going to be the way. I think the reason why I've been a good property manager is
I listen to quite a lot of business people and entrepreneurs and so on, and one of the things that they mention that they find really powerful when they say, okay, what's been a big success for you, and they were like understanding what to say no to, and they say the more time you say no, the more successful you can be, because then you focus on the stuff that really matters and really move the needle. How does a dental nurse become a senior property management industry?
my dad was working overseas and he's working in Dubai. He'd always said to me, oh, you should come over here, you know, you've got that sort of attitude that they like over here and you're British. And one day I just thought, you know, I'm going to do it. So I just packed everything up and decided to move over. My initial thought was...
So Beth, thank you very much for coming and working on it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the time. I know you're really busy with budgets and residents and such, so thank you very much. So tell me, let's take it back. How does a dental nurse become a senior property management industry?
Well, I was dental nursing and my dad was working overseas and he's working in Dubai. And I thought to myself, well, shall I try and go over there? He'd always said to me, oh, you should come over here, you know, you've got that sort of attitude that they like over here and you're British. And so eventually I thought, you know what, I can be a dental nurse. I can come back and be a dental nurse. I was pretty much on what was minimum wage in those days, so this is like 25 years ago. And I thought, one day I just thought, you know, I'm going to do it. So I just packed everything up basically within a couple of months and decided to move over. And I thought, my initial thought was, I'll go over for 3 months, see how it goes, and then I can always come back if it doesn't work out. And I ended up staying for 5.5 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's where I got started in the property management industry. I, like a lot of people back then, fell into it. It wasn't such a career path as it might be now for some graduates. Not that I was a graduate because I didn't go to university, but I went out there and I did a bit of event work, and one of those events, on the stand that I was on as some sort of dolly, you know, on the stand. Blonde and British and, you know, young as I was then, yeah, and a lot better looking, a lot less wrinkles. And yeah, and one of those was they owned a property management company, and I went to work for the business development director, I think it was, and we bought a new commercial building, and we started to fill it with commercial tenants, and I took over a lot of that. My boss saw something in me, and that's what I did. And then eventually I thought, you know what, I'm a bit bored just, you know, working for somebody as their sort of PA assistant. And I was faking it till I make it there.
Oh, okay.
Very much so, because I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to use computers. I didn't know how to file anything. I mean, I knew how to get A to Z, but
okay, yeah, yeah.
I knew, but yeah. So anyway, I sorry, that's really,
yeah.
So from there,
I mean, to have the confidence to sort of fake it till you make it, especially in like a new country, etc., that must have taken quite a bit.
Yeah,
would you say?
yeah, we did, but I just seemed to get away with it. And in the end, I thought, you know what, I'll go for a job as a property manager, because that's basically what I'm doing, and I can kind of embellish it a bit around that to fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
And there was a large skyscraper building on Shakeside Road, and they were looking for a property manager. So I applied for the job with the owner, and I got the job. And I was there sitting in a plush office thinking, right, well, I better learn what to do.
Yeah.
So
enough faking it.
Yeah, enough faking it. I had to actually do it. So and I had a secretary, which was all very new to me, and, you know, my own big office, and I was 26 and sort of living the dream, I suppose, in a way. And yeah, so we had to maintain the building. It was a bit like we have build to rent properties now, because we were renting out the properties and managing the communal areas, as well as some of the flats as well, or apartments as we call them over there. You're not allowed to call them flats, which I found out. So yeah, with the swimming pool and all the plant that they had there, and that's where I sort of learnt the trade. Although obviously back then it was very, very different, and there was no health and safety. I'm presuming that Dubai has caught up on that now.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I would have thought so.
I don't imagine they're as stringent as we are over here.
No.
But yeah, I mean, we had a fire in one of the blocks, and the windows blew out, and the fire extinguishers weren't working, or the water wasn't working, and it was that was a whole learning curve for me in learning about health and safety, and the whole apartment was gutted. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was one thing, and then from there I went on to that building was sold. It was actually on the 9/11, the day that happened. I was in one office and my boss was in the other, selling the building,
Wow.
and my job. And
Oh, okay, that went
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah. And he sold the building, and so I applied for a position, and I worked for the Bergerman Centre, which is still there in Dubai. It's a big shopping centre, and they were building a commercial and residential block on the side of the shopping mall, as well as extending the shopping mall. And they came in, and I was a consultant to the owner on the commercial and residential side of things. But the pace of life in Dubai is so slow, and I've never been like that. I've always been quick-minded and wanting to make quick decisions, and to take risks. And there is none of that. It's all very, very slow, and I found it very boring in the end. And
Really? And
yeah,
you were there for what, 5.5 years? Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
that's probably a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, so in the end, I just thought, you know what, I need to probably move back. I never wanted to stay out there forever. It wasn't my dream or goal. So I ended up moving back, and then moved into my brother's spare room for 3 months while I looked for a job, and then faked it till I maked it in London. And that's what I did.
That
Yeah.
should be your motto, shouldn't it? It's just
Yeah.
Beth Lancaster.
Yeah, pretty much.
Faked it till
Yeah,
she made it.
yeah. Don't tell my boss now. I'm
No,
definitely,
no, no,
I'm
no, no.
definitely over the faking it till I make it now.
I'd say you're certainly established now,
Yeah.
anyway. So, but so with the Dubai thing, do you reckon it's changed? I would imagine it's changed quite a bit, isn't it? Since you said you've been back recently.
Yeah.
So what would you? And also, interestingly enough, when you mentioned about the pace, do you think it's changed then? Like, because is it a lot more sort of like faster now, or is it still, compared to say the likes of London, still quite slow?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know anybody there who works there now. So I've not really kept in touch, and most of the people that I knew who were there are now back over here, or have retired, or gone overseas somewhere else to live. But I went there on holiday, and I would say it's probably not picked up a lot of speed since. It's still quite a relatively relaxed way of life when comparatively to London, or to most places over here. I think we're expected to work in a fast-paced environment, especially in the industry that I'm in. It is fast-paced, and with technology now, everything's instant. It's not. You don't have time to be slow. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
customers
think.
expect instant messaging. Emails are instant messenger, basically.
Yeah.
So
Do you know what? It's funny you mention that, because I was just about to say that, like, we had an email the other day in the morning, and it's someone requesting a quote, but I think it's about 2:10 or 2:11. They said, "No, how you get on with that quote?" We're like, well, hold up. We've got to come and see development. We can't just say that over to you right now. But so it's good what you mentioned about instant messaging, because it really is like
yeah,
that, isn't it? It's
yeah.
really crazy. Why do you think that is? What do you think's changed with that?
I think the social media, and WhatsApp especially, has meant that is what is expected. I mean, email is still, some people will still treat it as sort of the letter version, the snail mail version, but it isn't anymore. That customers will expect you to see it straight away, because of course we have Outlook or all our email platforms are not on our phones. Our phones are with us all the time. People are expecting you to be on them all the time. And so if they send you an email, then you're going to see it. In fact, I've had to say to my team, don't use WhatsApp so much with your customers now, because they are going to expect that. And there's only so many different platforms that you can go on to respond to them. You're going to miss something. But yeah, so I think the advent of social media and WhatsApp means that people are expecting a lot more, because they can contact you instantly.
Yeah, I think with the demands as well, the pressure as well. I think obviously certainly more pressure, it seems, doesn't it, at the moment? Even more
Yeah.
so, certainly like in your industry, residents and etc. They do. It's almost like they're more impatient because now the pressure's building, so they must have the answer soon. So they've got the easier platforms, like you say, social media and WhatsApp. Then, and you've already communicated on those platforms. So I think that was a good move of you to say that this is kind of the one channel in level of
Yeah.
communication, so you can kind of filter it, because it can really get overwhelming if you've got LinkedIn, Instagram, you've got all these messaging platforms, haven't you, WhatsApp and so on.
Yeah.
It gets a bit
Yeah.
too much,
Yeah.
so
Well, at First Port, we also have a portal. So
okay, that's another one.
so that's
Right.
something else that we look at. And but that's got the capability of um, logging a customer inquiry, and then we can reply to that customer inquiry on there. And then, of course, it's all saved on there. Whereas email is a bit more one-to-one, and not necessarily and trail, other than Outlook backup.
Yeah, the portal's pretty good. It's good for quickness, isn't it? Like you're saying, reference, etc., that sort of thing,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
those probably don't use email as much as well.
Yeah, well, they still have to be on a computer. So, but yeah, it's good for logging anything historic or complaints and that kind
Mm,
of thing, so that you can see the background and anyone can see the background,
yeah.
because it can be a relatively transient industry. So, a property manager can leave, and then,
No.
you're not my team. No, but yeah, the property manager can leave, and then you've got someone new come in, and you don't know the history of something. So it can be handy for that, and also for storing information that's relevant to an individual's apartment, flat, or to their actual property, or to
Mm.
the development, the estate, accounts and budgets and insurance and that kind of thing. So they've got a one-stop shop to go somewhere.
That could be said for any company as well. So I think it's really good that First Sport have got that. I'm sure many have as well, but it's
Yeah,
really good
yeah,
to kind of have that backup, isn't it? Because let's say, for instance, an SME like us, like a small business, if we have like an office staff of like 6, 7 people, you're like, okay, one person sends an inquiry, you've got that historical data, haven't you?
yeah,
That
sure.
anybody can answer, not just one person that then becomes a bottleneck.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because that could be adopted in any business really, I think, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
brilliant.
sure. And the
You know?
same with an intranet.
Mm.
If you've got a company intranet, because that's where you store all your information. So instead of having to ask a colleague, well, where do I find this,
Yeah,
or to who manages this side of the business, you can look on the intranet and find out.
yeah, exactly,
Especially
yeah.
with a larger company,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you don't necessarily know everybody.
Yeah.
It's not like back in the day when you're
Yeah.
in a little small office and you just shout across to the accountant. Yeah.
That was true. So I was talking to someone the other day actually about Bram, and I said that he used to have their office in GWQ Wallace House,
Yeah.
and I said it'd be awesome because I'd go in and I'd go and see the accounts department, which I knew a couple of people there. Then I'd see some of the property management, and then in the back, in the far corner on the right, there'd be the MD's office, and so I'd go and see him as well. So
Yeah.
it would be just go see everybody in one go. So it is great having that, isn't it? But I suppose you
Yeah.
are limited to what you can grow to, I guess, because you then have to outgrow that if you're gonna grow.
Yeah.
But so I know obviously with the facility management world now, so much has changed. Like we said earlier on about legislation, budgets, and so on. So what would a day to day look like for you then, roughly? Is there much firefighting going on, or can it be kind of organised and proactively planned so it kind of reduces some of that stuff?
It's a bit of everything, really. You have reactive repairs, the normal run of the mill kind of thing, and stuff that comes in that the guttering's broken and you need to send someone out. And then it can be something that's relatively catastrophic, which could be a lift fails in a high-rise building. Well, that's catastrophic for a lot of people because they might need to get somewhere. They've got children, they've got luggage, they need to move, or deliveries, and going up 13 flights of stairs isn't a nice prospect, or down. And so we deal with those kind of things on a day-to-day basis, and then obviously the property managers themselves have to decide which is more urgent than the others. But also we have our PPM contracts, so the annual maintenance contracts, so like yourself with window cleaning. And we set up those contracts, which makes it easier for us with budgeting. So window cleaning, gardening, plant maintenance, that kind of thing can be set up over the course of a year, because there'll be legislation also that we need to keep up to date with, and compliance. So we need those in place so that those certificates are on our system and we can show that we're compliant in all aspects of the assets that we manage.
I would imagine that having those sort of PPMs in place is a real good preventative kind of way, isn't it? As long as they're done and it's all carried out, then that's sort of like a really good way of proactively managing the site, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the lift thing, it's funny you mentioned about that, actually, because you just kind of take it for granted, don't you? And so I imagine, have you ever had that where it goes down and it's just been down for a length of time?
Oh yeah,
Really?
it's an absolute nightmare. Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare, because it's something that's quite an emotive topic, because especially if you're in a high-rise building, or you have a disability or children, or you are moving in or out, or you are doing the shopping that day and you need to get up in the lift, and you have to use the stairs, then it can become anger inducing, actually. And yeah, we have a few lifts out at the moment, and my guys, the property managers who are on my team, they pull their hair out over it, because they'll be using different contractors. It'll be difficult to get in contact with someone who knows what's going on. Of course, after Brexit, all the parts come from Europe. There's a problem getting them over, and of course, residents don't believe we're not doing what we can in the background, and we really are. I see my guys and they're really trying hard to get things moving. They're frustrated, and it's really difficult because then they can't show their frustration to our customers, and they have to empathize with them, of which they do, but it's it's very, very, very difficult.
Everyone has limits.
Yeah, everyone does have a limit. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
So, I mean, because I know, like, obviously I know a lot of the facility management world and such, and in general, and I think this is probably said for most humans, most people really want to do good for other people in the main.
Yeah.
And so you think, like, sometimes there's external stresses, sometimes there's personal stresses, but when you strip that aside, generally it's all done in good intention, but some things just happen that are not really part of the plan, part of the script, but it's how you deal with them, I think, is probably the best way, but also how you communicate what you're doing. And that's one of the big things I find, is if you constantly keep them up to date, saying, look, I'm now calling this person. If you really wanted to go in that detail, if it was an emergency as that, then it's like, okay, I'm now calling this person. And then 10 minutes later, you update, I don't know, is it the portal, whatever it is you have. And you say, okay, I've now done this. This is their expectation of, coming to the site, that sort of thing. So it's almost like you can either go in your shell, which is quite bad, isn't it? So if you've got loads of residents screaming at you, you're like, okay, where's my guy? He's disappeared on me. Or you can be proactive with the communication, say, look, I know it's happening, it's an emergency, but this is how we're dealing with it. And it's kind of like that sort of thing.
Well, this is what I'm always impressing on my guys on my team, the property managers, to keep to over communicate rather than under communicate. And I found that's what always worked for me as a property manager. In fact, sometimes I remember when I first took on this big portfolio that I managed for about 12 years at the beginning, the residents used to say to me, "Oh, I'm getting so much from you," and you just think, okay, right, maybe I need to find a sweet spot. But over communicating is definitely going to be better than under communication. That's where the
Definitely.
portal comes in, because you can quickly put something on there. And even though it's another thing for them to do and another thing to think of, especially when you've got something like a lift out, or a vehicle gate broken, or a break-in, or a door entry system not working, it can sometimes be, oh well, I'll have to do that later. That can sometimes be the most important thing, because the proactivity of getting it out on the portal, which you hope everyone will see or everyone
Yeah.
will be signed up to, is going to mean that later on you're not going to get the emails and the cases being raised on the portal that say, what's happening with my lift, gate, door entry system, why isn't it working? Because they'll already know. They'll
Yeah.
already know that you're doing something. And I suppose for property managers, it's building up the trust with their residents that they will be doing something, and eventually, even if they don't put something on the portal, their residents have built up the trust enough to know, oh yeah, Beth will be on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
very
yeah,
true, actually,
yeah.
isn't it? It's kind of they get to know you and how you act and how you
Mm,
work.
mm.
So if you've messaged them in the morning saying I'm going to deal with this, and you don't get back to them immediately, then I already know that she's on this sort of thing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it
that's
comes
actually
with
really
time.
true.
It comes with
Yeah,
time, and that's why it's good to have consistency of property manager on a portfolio, which, as I said before, it can be quite a transient business, because it's not it's not always the most thankful. People aren't the most thankful. So you've got
no,
to have quite the thick skin. But when you do get thanks, the reward is, I think, sometimes greater than in other industries,
yeah.
because it's so few and far between.
I know it is a bit of a thankless task, isn't it? It seems
It's
like you're getting
emotional.
battered all of the
It's your
time.
home. It's
Yeah,
emotional, and so I get it. It's really, really difficult to stay grounded in it, but yeah, sense of humour keeps you sane.
yeah. And like you say, thick skin as well. So,
Yeah.
um, so you were voted top 50.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
2019.
yes.
Yeah, I know.
So that's pretty good.
I was so
Yeah.
surprised. I didn't even know I'd been nominated.
Right. Okay.
It was only because it came up on LinkedIn, and I thought, and I saw my name, and I thought, well, that's a bit weird. I didn't. Well, no, that's not right. And then I contacted like News on the Block, and I said, oh, was it News on the Block or
I think it was, yeah, News on the Block.
Flat Lid?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be embarrassing.
Just
Um,
list a few, and then we'll just
yeah,
let it out.
Flat Living
Yeah,
magazine,
that's it, yeah.
News on the Block magazine.
Yeah.
And yeah, I contacted them, and they were like, yeah, you won. And I've never to this day knew who nominated me or what they said. And
Oh,
yeah,
really?
and I think to me that was the most special award. I mean, I've won little awards with First Port and other bits and pieces, but that to me was really special because I just never knew. And it was a complete and utter surprise. Whereas sometimes when your company's putting you forward, like for an ACE award or something, like, well, what used to be the Armour ACE award. But yeah, with this, I didn't know. But yeah.
But do you think you take some pleasure or perhaps sort of like happiness in thinking that it might have been the residents of the building that you perhaps managed during that period?
Yeah, I mean, it could have
Who
been.
knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I
News on the Block goes out to residents, managers, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose anyone could have done it. But yeah, and I just, I don't know.
Or
I
peers,
suppose I'll.
perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really don't know, and yeah, I suppose the fact that I don't know makes it even more special in a way, and it's just a mystery that I will never.
That recognition.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, I don't need to know.
Yes.
Whoever nominated me, but
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
thanks very much.
I suppose to have that sort of recognition, though, you must have gone above and beyond in a few moments. Would you, or is it just you being you and performing at the level, or what do you think? 'Cause I was going to ask, what do
Mm,
you think perhaps set you out from the others in a sense?
I think the reason why I've been a good property manager is simply because I'm good at juggling. I'm good at juggling a lot of balls in the air. I like being busy. I like my mind to be active. I hate being bored. I don't like sitting still. And I just am really good at managing a lot of different things at one time,
Mm.
at home and at work. And I think that you need that in this industry. You need to be able to spin plates and keep them
Mm.
spinning. But also to know when there's going to be a plate that's not spinning, that you're going to drop, and you need to say, right, that's one thing too many. Otherwise, my standard of service is going to go down on the others.
Mm.
So yeah, to use that analogy, I'm just good at spinning plates, and and also now I manage a team in recognizing how many plates each one of those people can spin, and what I need to do to help them
Yeah.
keep them spinning.
Do you say that every Monday morning? Keep spinning, guys.
We do, yeah, we do use the analogy of spinning plates quite a bit in our team, and we take some comfort in it now, knowing that we're all in the same boat. Not just in our team or in our region or in our company, even I think across the industry. It's the kind of job where you are spinning a lot of plates, especially now legislation has picked up that there's a lot more that we need to remember now. It's not just sort of walking around a block and helping out with maintenance and making sure things get done. There's all the compliance side of things that the guys have to remember now. And so the plates, they stack up.
There's so many more plates
So
to spin.
many cheesy metaphors here.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Well, it's I think for you to do that, but to have that to understand your limits, but also to foresee them. I think that's a good way of reflecting of where you're at and keeping in touch with your ability at the time. Because people kind of, well, but actually what we said about earlier on, wasn't it, like go into your shell or kind of be proactive with it. And like you said, it's better to over communicate.
Yeah.
So to see that play, okay, that's going to be falling any second now, let me just quickly let everyone know. So that's really good to have that. Probably comes with experience, I would imagine, wouldn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
for
sounds a bit
sure.
like it's a bit of a trait that you have. For you to go to Dubai all those years ago, to fake it till you make it, although not fake it anymore.
Thank you.
Let me put it on the line. And yeah, so I think that's what really good to have that, because a lot of people say, well, no, I'll just deal with spinning plates and leave it there. You're like, not everyone's great at that, you know.
Yeah.
But having that awareness, I think that's really good. So perhaps that's one of the characteristics that made you stand out, you know, to win that award in 2019.
Yeah.
That ability to manage all of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So you know,
I hope so.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So with managing a team, how many guys have you got, or developments do you take care of at the moment?
I think there's 96. I've got 7 property managers
Yeah,
now. They're all
okay.
fabulous individuals, all very different in their own special way. And
Yeah.
we have a great team. We have an amazing team dynamic, and we're very close, and we can share with each other, and we can
Brilliant.
help each other out. And I've been managing this particular team for it'll be 2 years, I think, in July. And yeah, at the beginning, I walked in, and I think they were like, what has hit us here? But they stuck with my vision, and now I think they're all really happy in their work, as happy as they can be
Yeah.
in this industry. But they are all happy, and they know that they've got people to reach out to, not just me, but the other people on the team. And as I say, they're all just fabulous human beings. And my aim is, and always has been, that on a Sunday evening, none of them are feeling sick about going to work the next day. And as long as we have that, then we're happy. Yeah.
Do you know, I love that, because you obviously work for First Port, which is a very large organisation, as we know. But for you to kind of see your team, and you're like empathising with your team there, you're taking their thoughts and feelings into consideration, and you mentioned your vision. You know, you might think, well, okay, well, surely it must align to First Port's vision, and perhaps it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But you've got your own vision that you wanted you and your team to have, and for you to have that, it's almost like you've got your own company in a sense, because that's similar to my role in a sense. On a Sunday night, I say, right, is everyone plan a diary, blah, 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 and you're kind of getting them ready to go for the Monday. But obviously, like, it seems really funny that you're doing it in a large organisation. So it goes to show that you can actually do it. You can make a change, no matter what level you're at, in a sense. You know, like,
100%.
yeah, I think that's
100%.
brilliant.
I mean, we obviously need to align with First Port values and what they're doing as an organisation, and that filters down. However, as a team, as a regional team, we do need to think about how we're going to do things for our portfolio and for our customers, who might be slightly different to a portfolio in Liverpool, for example, is going to be very different, or even in Kent, or over in the West Country somewhere. So we kind of adapt it. And of course, having been a property manager for 25 years, maybe more, um, and and knowing what helped me and what helped me work really well, and to live a good life of good work-life balance, which is what we all try to achieve, let's face it, then I know what works. And it might not work for everyone, but you can certainly adapt it within their skill set, and their experience range. And just things like, we do one-to-ones. And I think one-to-ones are really important as a business, but also for the person. And our one-to-ones, they're not about, drilling down into stats and figures. They're always about the individual,
That's really important.
and what's going on with you this month, and that's not in some cheesy counselor kind of way. That's like, well, I need to know how you're doing, because especially now that we all don't sit in an office together, no one sees each other. We see each other on a screen most of the time. And it's about, hi, right, how are you this month? What have you been doing? What are your challenges? How can I help you? Is there anything that I can do about managing up as well? Because I'm a great believer in managing up. So I kind of put together a new one-to-one form, because I wanted to be less time consuming. So I've done it online. So
Yeah.
they've just got a few questions to answer online, on an online, like Survey Monkey kind of form.
Yeah.
And just saying, right, what are your challenges this month? Is there anything I can help you with? Have you got any advice for me? And and they know they can say whatever they like, good or bad.
Yeah.
Thankfully, mostly good. Phew. But and also a motivation level. How motivated are you, and what can I do to help that, and that kind of thing. And even once a year, I do something that says, right, I need to recalibrate myself, and this is where the manage up comes in. And I do an anonymous like kind of little quiz, just to say,
Okay.
how am I supporting you? Is there anything you could do better out of these things? What would you like me to get more involved in? So like legal stuff, site visits, health and safety, compliance. And then it comes back, and it's a lot of it is what I think, but there's also other things like that from a different perspective mean that I can look at their perspective
Yeah.
and start helping the team and shaping the team in the way that they would like to see it go also.
I think it's really amazing listening to you. That's how you run it, because that's almost like an MD of a business, or like the way you run it. It's like you've got your team, and together you're going to solve these problems on these developments and so on. I think that's really good that you've kind of taken that initiative to because there's so many property managers that wouldn't take that initiative.
No.
They kind of just go by the book, and this is me. But it's really good because in turn, I find, and perhaps you can confirm, but I find that if your team is performing well, and like you said, spot on with a personal level, because at the end of the day, if we're feeling a bit run down at home, that's going to come into workplace. So if you've not been able to share that, or got someone that could perhaps a sounding board or help you in any way they can, that's going to reflect into the work. In which case, if they do something wrong, it's going to have a knock-on effect to those that are managing, let's say like what we do. So it will have a knock-on effect. So to be proactive in that and say, like, how are you? How are you today? And how that sort of thing, what have you got going on? Is there any way I can help you? That in turn, I think, makes your life easier for managing those people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is about people, and people have feelings, emotions, and characteristics, and different personalities. And it's understanding those, like you said earlier on about the plates, the limits of those personalities.
Yeah.
I think it's really good that you've got that. I reckon that comes with experience too, though, because you don't just kind of pick that stuff up after a couple of years.
I never thought I would be a good people manager, and that's why I avoided it for so long, because I just thought I'm not going to be able to manage people because I expect too much. I've got too high expectations. But I started to get to the point where I thought, you know what, I'm pretty good at doing the actual job of being a property manager. and really I should be helping other people, especially as I get older, and there's new generation coming through with fresh ideas, and people who want to learn. Um, and so that's why I thought, no, I really want to manage property managers. And at first, it was a little bit sticky, but I've seen a couple of my teams, they've been transformed by a different holistic approach to management. And they've gone from, having loads of complaints to learning how to manage their complaints and learning how to manage their workload, and to having issues that have been caused by work that have affected their home life, or by their home life that's affected their work, and just by kind of helping to balance their workload, even for a short period of time, has really helped them progress as individuals and to have a much happier work-life balance. And now I'm pleased to say that when I did have a gap on my team, I got someone asking before I'd even advertised the job if they could come and join the team, as the team. And I still do get the odd people saying, "Oh, I'd love to join your team," which to me is better than any award. That when someone asks if I've got any spaces on my team, and they'd love, let them know. That to me is the biggest reward. Yeah.
That really speaks volumes, isn't it? If someone wanted to join your team and you haven't invited them, they're actually knocking on your door. Then that's pretty good recognition.
Yeah, because trying to interview for people is just it's just gruesome. The last time that I interviewed for this and for a job, there was someone still getting dressed on the call. There was someone leaning back on their sofa with their arms behind their head. There was another one sitting in a car, and there were people knocking on the window, and and you're just, wow, this is so unprofessional, just giving the wrong impression from the start. So how on earth are you going to get to know? But I don't know, we were interviewing for development managers recently, and so we brought in sort of a little competency test. I also like to do the little Surrounded by Idiots personality test. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you seen that book? Yeah, I love
yeah,
that. And we
yeah.
did last Christmas. My team, well, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, my team and I, we did a little workshop on it, to see who everyone is and what colour they are, and it wouldn't be any surprise to anyone that I'm a red. Go look that up. But yeah, so and it was so interesting, and working out how to work with each other, because I read the book because I was starting to wonder how on earth I was going to manage the team, and I needed help. So you do need your
How best to
continuous
deal with them.
learning on these things.
Definitely.
And I saw the book. I'd come back from somewhere and I saw it in like a W.H. Smith or whatever, and I thought, Surrounded by Idiots. Yeah. Let's buy that. That's no offence to my team. But
It's the
you
book.
just
It's not your fault it's labelled that.
Yeah. And I read that and I thought, wow, this just makes so much sense. And I started making notes from that day, and then we did our own test, and yeah, we all came out we've got a good cross of personalities and ways that people work, and it just really helps you understand. And so understanding that now is just on a peripheral level of how somebody thinks and works, means that you can put that into your teams. And they will complement each other, and also who will work well together. But yeah, we've got a really great mix of people.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I could enthuse all day about my team because I love them so much, and they're like my children in a way, even though some are older than me.
Well, you mentioned about that as a personality profiling report, a DISC report, isn't it? So what when some people say that people can change, and others say no, they can't. Leopard never changes its spots. So years ago, I done that, and I was a high red. And then when I then had to become a bit more empathetic, and that's why when you mentioned about the team, because it's exactly what I do, and I love that. I'm the same. I could speak about that all day long. But I then now became, I think it was like a high yellow, which is more empathetic about team.
Yeah.
And I done it because I've done the same HR lady that we have, Sandra, she done it for me years ago when we started, and then so I started with her about 2018, and then we done one just at the end of last year, and so, oh my God, Brad, you've changed. Like you're this, and then a couple of people in the office is like, yeah, because he's more surrounded by women now, so my office is mainly
Ah,
women,
right.
and I was like, okay, fine, so you get more empathetic, more taking other people's
Mm,
consideration or feelings
mm.
into consideration. So I wondered if that was part of it, that environment, the way your environment can change the way you think, and then it shows up on something like the profile report.
I'm sure it does.
It's funny,
I'm
isn't
sure it
it?
does. I think your base probably stays the same. You're still
Mm.
going to be the same sort of person,
Yeah.
your whole genetic build up but of course your environment is going to influence you
Mm.
greatly.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I should do it again.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
know I
That's
do
it.
have a bit of yellow,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think yeah, I think it's fabulously interesting,
It
and I
is.
just think that people shouldn't change too much. It should just be work with what you've got and do the
Yeah.
best with what you've got,
That's
and
right.
just be as lovely and decent a human being as you can.
Yeah. I think. Well, I would love to end it there because that's very powerful. But we've got a few more questions. So yeah, that was
Okay.
really good. Thank you. So obviously, first sport are huge. What would you
Mm.
say separates them from any other management company, or do you think there isn't too much? It's just similar.
Well, most of my experience has been there. When I first came back and went to London, I worked for a very small company. Everything was much different back then, 20 years ago. Everything was paper, letters, hardly any computers.
Mm.
So then I moved to Firstport. I did leave for a period of time, worked for Rendell and Rittner for a bit, and then I came back to Firstport. I suppose culture is a big thing for me, and I think, um, like with the personality thing, I think I always fit with Firstport. Um, and Rendell and Rittner are also very good company at what they do. Um, I think some people like being a big fish in a small pond, and some people like being a small fish in a big pond. I think I like to be a medium fish in a big pond.
Okay.
Um, that sounds a bit weird, but
No, I
I
get
think
it.
I like to be somebody, but I also like to be surrounded by a lot of other somebodies. I
Mm.
like there to be other people that I can champion, other people that I can grow with, and I like to now, as I'm getting older, I like to champion like the younger generation along and try to help them and teach them and help them with the way of working that worked for me. But of course, things have changed quite a bit, so I've had to move on as well and learn
Mm.
how to work with things now. But what I will say is, I've always wanted to work for the best company. I believe Firstport are the best company to work for, and that's why I still continue to work for them. And I don't envisage leaving now until I'm, you know, old, grey, not dyed grey. And yeah, I envisage being there now uh, until I retire
Mm.
eventually.
Well, it sounds like your team would be upset if you were to move, but
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
by the sounds of things. So yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think
no,
they'll
they
be
do
too
say to me, we're
happy.
worried that you'll burn out. I know they've said that to me before, and I'm like, no, I'd let you know if there was anything. And I
Yeah.
do. I let them know if I'm having a bad day or a bad week or I need a bit of a break, then I let them
Mm.
know, and we all kind of group in together. Yeah.
I think that's really valuable because it's like you check in, you have a role of checking in on people, making sure that they're okay, but who checks in with the person that's checking in?
Mm,
And then I think to have that, but it sounds like you've kind of got it anyway because you mentioned about the spinning plates analogy where you were being aware of the it being a bit too much for you. So it sounds
yeah.
like you kind of do a bit of that yourself
Yeah,
anyway.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. I am very self-aware on that kind of thing, and I know when things have got too much, and I am everything to everybody outside of my work as well as in our team, I suppose. But I am also very good at saying no, that's it.
Mm.
I'm I can say I have I have the empower I power myself to be able to say no, both inside work and
Mm.
outside work. But I think that probably does come with experience and knowledge, and having respect from the people around you. more than anything. I know it's very, very difficult to sometimes be the person who says no. I've spent a long time not being able to say no to anything. But I think you should say yes to the things now I can say yes to the things, and I do say yes to most things. But if there's something that comes up and I think, no, that's not for me, I'll say no, I'd rather not. I don't think I'm the right fit.
It's funny you say that, because I listen to quite a lot of business people and entrepreneurs and so on. And one of the things that they mention that they find really powerful when they say, okay, what's been a big success for you? What thing has really made a difference for you and taken you to another level and the next? And they were like, understanding what to say no to, and having the confidence to say no. And they say the more times you say no, the more successful you can be. Because then you focus on the stuff that really matters and really
so
move the
true.
needle. So, but you wouldn't have really thought about that, would you? You say, no, don't say no. Take it on and we'll deal with it. But it's becoming that, having that awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, or delegate.
Nowadays? Or delegate, yeah, that's right.
Feel comfortable enough to delegate to somebody. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're giving away your power and your control. You can always, like check in, give little projects and say, right, we'll check back with me, and sometimes I do have to think with my team. I am a bit of a control freak, so sometimes I'll see something, I think, oh, I'll start dealing with that, and I think, oh no, just just go to them, say, I'm here to help you if you need me to help you with it. But otherwise I'll leave it with you. And then they've got the comfort of knowing that if they can't deal with it or they need help, they can reach out. But I'm not just leaving them to it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Letting them know I've seen it. And if they need me, then please let me know, because I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, they're never going to learn, are
That's
they?
right.
Yeah, that's not
You'll
how
be
I
doing it
learn.
all,
So,
won't you?
yeah. And yeah. So yeah,
It's got to be done, definitely. So when dealing with contractors, what would you say is some good points that they do? I think I probably know what you're going to say, and perhaps the bad points that makes your life harder and easier.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad you asked that. The the best contractors that we work with are the ones that will have good customer service. They'll be the ones who don't don't, uh, 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 anything bad to do with First Port. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that everything that First Port does is absolutely fantastic, but you know, we all remember who the client is. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Just as we do with our developers, developer clients, or resident management company clients. We defend our clients, and we see the best in them. That doesn't mean that you have to be disingenuous. It just means that, you know, you're not going out of your way to say bad things that is going to cause us so much problem to sweep up, or to explain. But the main thing is the ones who are good with customer service. So the ones who will liaise with our customers for us, because property managers don't have the time. And if you've got a contractor a supplier who will contact a resident for access, that's going to make a world of difference to a property manager, because they'll be having to spend time making those appointments, especially if it's a leak to a leak to a leak to a flat to a flat to a flat, and they're having to contact 5 flats maybe.
Yeah.
That really makes a massive difference. So if they will take on a bit of that burden, that is worth its weight in gold. It's worth paying a little bit of extra money for, to be honest. And in fact, the contractors that we have that do that don't necessarily charge us extra. It's just part of their service, and it's part of their manager and director's ethos to do that, and to just be really helpful and proactive. And also just to go and do the job when they say they're going to do the job. Don't say that they're going to turn up on such and such a day and then don't, because we'll have already, via our portal, let people know, all our residents know, that someone's going to turn up on a certain date, and then they don't turn up, or they don't turn up on time. That they fulfill the specification and scope of works properly, that they've taken the time to clear up after themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're the main things. And also, especially with stuff that's now we rely on compliance certificates for, we really, really need those certificates back as soon as possible, so that we can upload them onto our health and safety system and show that we're compliant, because that goes out of date and then we're in trouble, and then having to chase contractors for that is just the worst.
Yeah. It's like adding another task to your already long task list,
Yeah,
isn't it, really?
yeah, yeah.
And I think you guys have something, is it like a portal, like a dashboard, like when it goes orange and then red, and then when it's red, it's
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
like, like
yeah,
it was crazy. Just got to
yeah.
get that
That's
stuff on
it.
there.
And
Yeah.
we have to chase, and
Mm.
it's just there's just not enough hours in the day. If you've got a big portfolio with a lot of plant on it, a lot of assets, and then all of a sudden, everything's up at the same time. At say the year end is in July, and everything's up in July, and we haven't got all the certificates on by the second week in August, then
Yeah.
we're having to chase maybe 10, 20 contractors. And that's, I mean, that in itself is a day's work.
Yeah.
Just
Just a
the
sea of
initial
red on your
chaser.
dashboard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Go
sea
chase all
of
these.
red. Yeah. Mm.
I think so. It's probably trust, isn't it? Having trust in that relationship.
Yeah.
So then that the contractors are basically acting on your behalf in a sense to
Yeah.
what would effectively be your clients kind of
Yeah.
thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Having your back. And then obviously communication, clear, proactive communication. Can't communicate too much.
Yeah.
As
No,
you say.
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
probably the key things to have, isn't it,
Yeah.
really, in
Yeah.
that regard. And of course being presentable and, to everybody on the development and such, so.
Yeah, presentable, but I mean that that would be low down on the list. As long as the customer service was there.
Customer service, yeah.
Yeah, customer service and communication is just key.
Mm.
Yeah, really key.
So there's lots of things changed in the industry, many industries. So what do you think for the world of facility management? What do you think the next 5 to 10 years would kind of look like? Would
I
be
think
a load of robots on developments? Or
well, yeah. I mean, you already get the robot vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
So why not just bung a robot vacuum cleaner down? I think AI is obviously going to have a massive input on all industries, but especially we're seeing it with ours. And I think systems are going to really progress, so that especially for health and safety, the legislation around all the health and safety matters, especially post Grenfell, the compliance stuff for the Building Safety Act. I think the technology for administering all the stuff that comes with the Building Safety Act has got to get better. And it's still relatively new, even though Grenfell happened many years ago now. It's still all relatively new. It's all still being developed, and I think that there has to be some technology around that's going to make it a lot easier for us to navigate, because it's really difficult at the moment. I think even Firstport, who are the largest managing agent, we're still getting up to speed with all the legislation that comes in and who can carry out the different work for us. Building safety, height, EWS ones, it's all changing. The FRAEWs, there's so much, the building safety case, resident engagement strategies, and it seems to change all the time. And also with the energy centres now, there's all new energy legislation, and all of that we need to be either forming our own, putting together our own technology, or there's going to have to be someone out there doing it, so that we can get on board, and that's going to make life a lot easier. It already does to a certain extent, but of course, like we said with even emails, they're like instant messages now. So where can it go with technology? And people want their EWS ones for mortgageability, and being able to sell their properties. They need these certificates, and yet there's not enough contractors going around to be able to produce them. So we're always struggling at the moment to we seem to be firefighting quite a bit with the Building Safety Act, but we're getting there. And the more and more knowledge that comes on board, then the more I try to take in, and I'm sure all the other associate directors with Firstport do as well, and also try to impart on their teams so that we're all keeping our continuous professional development up to speed. But I think that's technology has got to be the main thing that changes. And I'm sure there'll be a much more legislation around all sorts of things. I think there's going to be a lot more safety checks that are going to be needed on a more regular basis. And sadly, that means more service charges, higher service charges, which is
Yeah.
really, really difficult, because we're seeing a lot of residents who are having to pay a lot extra if they've got a high-rise building, which is a high-risk building, which means that they are now subject to a lot more costs, and they're not costs that First Port or any of the managing agents set.
Mm.
They're what our suppliers set, and
It's like
we
external
we
pressure,
then have
isn't
to
it,
we
really?
have to impart the bad news, sadly,
Yeah.
in the best way we can.
Yeah, it's tough for you guys. Well, it's tough for everybody, of course it is.
Yeah.
But whenever I hear you guys, I've got to do budget, I'm like, oh God, I don't envy you, because then you've got to explain it to hundreds to residents, or 1,000,
Yeah.
however large your development is. Because a lot of it is nothing to do with you. It's all external pressure, isn't it? It's just crazy. And it just seems to be, there's so much of it though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
so many different angles that's happening. And you're like, just give us a break. Just leave us alone for 12 months. You know?
That would be
Yeah,
that would be nice.
it
Yeah.
would, wouldn't it? That would be really good.
Yeah.
So, got a quick fire round. Here we go.
Ooh,
So,
pressure.
one word for property management in 2026.
Dynamic.
Do you know, it's supposed to be quick fire, but quickly explain what you mean by that.
I
That's
mean,
really
I
interesting.
mean, very changeable, as always. Every year it's really changeable. So I think I could have said dynamic for the last 25 years. There's always something changing, which is what keeps me interested. There's always something new to learn. There's always some new legislation coming out. There's always new legal case studies. There's always a new lease to read. There's always a new developer or customer on the block, and it's so dynamic, and
Dynamic, good
that's where
word.
you have to be headspace wise.
So you mentioned about coaching people or mentoring people, of coming through. So what would you say would be the best advice for new property managers coming through today?
Learn and read as much as you can. Keep up to date with the industry, because it is dynamic, it is changing, and that's always going to be the way. We've got new stuff coming through, like the Common Hold Act that's coming through. There's going to be more legislation, there's going to be more accountability. So keep up to date on LinkedIn. Follow everyone you can who's someone in property management. Follow me, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but just follow everyone you can, and read as much as you can, and decide if the industry is right for you, because it is super busy, and you've got to have a thick skin.
Yeah, it's so true. I know, because I see the part of it anyway, so I know what you mean. So one small change that you think you would do in the industry overnight, if you had the power. Perhaps you do.
I think it should be more regulated, and I know that's something that the TPI are fighting for, and there needs to be more regulation in the industry. Yeah.
So you mentioned about LinkedIn. I think that's probably the best place for people to find you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Would you say?
yeah, I think
If they
so,
want to get in touch.
Yep.
So it's Beth Lancaster.
Yep. No,
Okay.
no difficult spelling. Just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Is that the best? That's probably the best place to find you, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Or and contact me on there if you want to reach out for anything. And I'm always happy to hear from anybody, really.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, Beth, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very
been
much.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Brad.
You're welcome. Yeah. So that's it.
Great.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah?
Very nice. Yeah. Very
Excellent.
good, yeah.
Excellent. No, and look at that. We done it. Well, seconds to spare. I'm getting a bit of a pro at this now.
Well done. Oh, no, that was great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Brad. Yeah.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, that was nice. It's a bit out of
I've been
the-
asking for ages to get you on, so yeah,
Oh,
but
no,
finally
it's
we managed to
great.
nail
No,
down the
that's
date.
really good. Yeah,